Hello students, how have you been? I'm sure you must be having a wonderful time. Dear students, in my previous video I told you that there are 12 verb tenses in the English language, and I've already explained simple present and present progressive tenses. Now this lesson will talk about simple past tense. Now let's start with the usage of past tense. You can use the past tense to express an action that started and finished at a specific time in the past. So in past simple tense, an action starts in the past and finishes in the past. So if an action starts in the past and it is still in progress, then it is present perfect progressive tense. But in past simple tense, the action starts in the past and it also finishes in the past. Sometimes the speaker may not actually mention the specific time, but they do have one specific time in mind. Sometimes that specific time is not mentioned in the sentence, but it is always there in the minds of the speaker. Let's see some of the examples. For example, if you are asked this question, did you do anything interesting at the weekend? So you can come up with lots of examples, lots of responses. Some of the responses may be, I saw a movie yesterday. Last year, I traveled to Japan. Did you have dinner last night? She washed her car 2 hours ago. So you can see here in these all sentences, the action started in the past and it finished in the past as well. And the words like yesterday, like last year, like last night, like 2 hours ago, these all words indicate that the action started in the past and it actually finished in the past. Let's see the second use of simple past tense. Now we use the simple past to list a series of completed actions in the past. These actions happen like first, second, third, fourth, and so on. Like when you're telling a story, in your story, things happen in a sequence, okay? So you first tell first thing, what happened, and then what happened, and then what happened. So most of the time our stories are in past simple tense. Now see some of the examples. I finished work, walked to the beach, and found a nice place to swim. You can see here that we have got a series of completed actions in the past in this sentence. So I finished work first, and then walked to the beach, and then found a nice place to swim. He arrived from the airport at 8, checked into the hotel at 9, and met the others at 10. Again, you can see that we have got a series of completed actions in this sentence. Arrived first and then checked into the hotel and then met the others. Did you add flour, pour in the milk, and then add the eggs? Again, we have got a sequence of actions happened in the past. So we can use simple past tense to list a series of completed actions in the past. The third usage is the simple past can be used with a duration which starts and stops in the past. It's almost the same thing that we talked about in the previous rule, that it starts in the past and then it stops in the past. Now our duration is longer action, often indicated by expressions such as for 2 years, for 5 minutes, all day, all year, etc. So this duration is indicated by these expressions. So you might have the expressions like for 2 years, for 5 minutes, all day, all year. So these all time expressions indicate that the action started in the past and then it stopped in the past. Now examples could be, I lived in Brazil for 2 years. Ruti studied Japanese for 5 years. They sat at the beach all day. They didn't stay at the party the entire time. We talked on the phone for 30 minutes. So in these all examples, you can see that the action started in the past and then it stopped in the past. Let's see another usage. The simple past can also be used to describe a habit which stopped in the past. It can have the same meaning as used to, like we use used to tell a habit that we had in the past. But to make it clear that we are talking about a habit, we often add expressions such as always, often, usually, never, when I was a child, when I was younger, etc. So simple past tense can also be used to describe a habit which stopped in the past. So, you had a habit in the past and then you don't have that habit now any longer, okay? So some of the examples could be, I studied French when I was a child. Okay, so I studied French when I was a child. So that means the action started in the past and then it stopped in the past because I am no more studying French now. He played the violin. That means he doesn't play it now. So the action started in the past and it ended in the past. Okay, so another example can be, he didn't play the piano. That means perhaps he plays the piano now, but in the past he didn't play the piano. Did you play a musical instrument when you were a kid? She worked at the movie theater after school. So the simple past can also be used to describe a habit which is stopped in the past. Now the simple past can also be used to describe past facts or generalizations which are no longer true. So they were true in the past, but they are no longer true now in the present. As in use for above, like we had the examples in our previous slide, that the action started in the past. We had a habit in the past, but we don't have that habit in the present now. Like, I played piano when I was a kid. Now, this use of simple past is quite similar to the expressions used to. Some of the examples can be, she was a shy child, but now she is very outgoing. Okay, so she was shy as a child, but now she is very outgoing. So it can describe past facts or generalization which are no longer true. So it was true in the past that when she was a child that she was shy, but it is no more. It is no more a fact, no more true now because she has changed her habits and now she is very outgoing. The other example can be, he didn't like tomatoes before. Did you live in Texas when you were a kid? People paid much more to make cell phone calls in the past. So the fifth usage of the simple past can be that it is used to describe past facts or generalization which are no longer true now. Now we can use these time expressions in our past simple tense. The time expressions like yesterday, like in 2011. So I played a cricket match yesterday. I learned French in 2011. Last week, month, year, when I was a kid, I played piano. A week, a month, a year ago, I went to marry a week ago, a month ago, a year ago, suddenly. So these all time expressions are used in past simple tense. Now, past simple can be made with to be verbs and with action verbs as well. Now we use to be verb in past simple when we don't have an action word. And instead of action verb, we use a noun or adjective, like he was a doctor. So in this sentence, we don't have an action word. Now doctor is a noun. So with this noun, we haven't used, we have used to be verb. He was a doctor. I was present. So when we don't have an action word, an action verb in the past, and we have instead we have a noun or we have an adjective. So we can use this to be verb in past simple tense, like with was. I was born in Israel. He was a doctor. She was in the USA. It was cold yesterday. And then we use was with I, he, she, it, and with one single person. And we can use were with we, you, they. Let's have some sentences. We were at home yesterday. You were right. They were in Italy last summer. So we can use to be verbs in past simple when we don't have an action word. So when we don't have an action verb, we can use was and were in past simple tense. So when we want to make negative with this to be verb, so it's very simple, as I explained to you in my previous video as well, that when you have got a to be verb and auxiliary verb, it's very simple to make negative interrogative. You just add not, after your to be verb and becomes negative, and you put that to be verb in the beginning of the sentence and becomes interrogative. And if you, indicative question, and if you want to make interrogative question, you can put these WH words at the beginning of the sentence. Now with I, he, and she, we'll use was not or wasn't in informal sentences, informal situation. Like I wasn't sick last week. He wasn't in Elet last summer. She wasn't at school on Monday. And we use were, or we use were not or want in informal situations. We were not at home on Saturday. You weren't happy with your grades. They weren't angry with his behavior. So in order to make negative with to be verbs, we use not after these to be verbs. And if you want to make questions, again, as you remember that I've told you that there are two types of questions. One is indicative questions, and indicative questions are also known as yes, no questions. And then we have interrogative questions, and interrogative questions start with interrogative pronouns. So if you want to have yes, no questions, indicative questions for past simple tense with to be verbs, we'll put these to be verbs in the beginning of the sentence. So we'll use was with I, she, he, and it, and then rest of the sentences. Like was he present in the class? And we'll use were with we, you, they, and the rest of the sentence. Like were you excited to go to Karachi? And then if you want to have WH question, there are two types of WH questions: non-subject questions and subject questions. So you have non-subject questions, and non-subject questions you'll have WH word, and then you'll use was and were, and then your subject, and then rest of the sentence. Like if you say, were you present in the class? So, if you want to make non-subject questions, you'll say like something like, why were you present in the class? When were you present in the class? Okay. Because we call them non-subject questions. And then we have WH subject questions. Now, who and what, these are two subject questions always, and other WH words are actually non-subject questions like who or what, and then was, and then rest of the sentence. Something like uh, who was in the kitchen, what was in your mind. Okay, so this is how we use we make questions with to be verbs. Now as I've told you that you can use to be verbs for past simple tense, and you'll be using was and were as to be verbs. And we use was and were to be verbs in past simple when we don't have an action word. Instead, we have a noun or an adjective. Like he was a doctor. In this sentence, we don't have an action word. There's no action word here. Doctor is a noun, or when you say I was present, so present is an adjective here. So again, in this sentence, we don't have an action word, but in remaining most of the sentences we do have action words. So when we have action verbs, keep in mind that we can divide these action words like play, go, come, study. These all are action words because they show some action. So these action words or these verbs can be divided into two broad categories: regular verbs and irregular verbs. Now, regular verbs are the verbs which we can, when we add ed, we can have past, and past participle forms like washed, wash, washed, washed, play, played, played. So these are regular verbs. Now, the past simple tense of the most English verbs, which are regular verbs, is formed by adding ed or d, depending on the spellings, to their base form. Now, if the verb ends in e, we add d to form the past simple. So if you want to make a regular verb, if you want to change the regular verb in past, there are certain rules. First rule is if it is a regular verb and it ends so it is found by adding ed or d to their base form. If the verb ends in e, so if the verb ends in e, since we already have e in the verb, so we'll not be adding e and d. We'll be adding only d because the e is already there. Okay, like we have got these examples, like the verb arrive. Now this verb arrive ends in e. Okay, so it is a regular verb and it ends in e. So if it is a regular verb and it ends in e, we'll simply put only d after that. So we arrived at 9 o'clock. My brother lived. Now see, the present form is live, and it is a regular verb and it ends in e. So we have only added d after that. My brother lived in London 4 years ago. When she was young, she danced beautifully. Now dance, again, it is a regular verb and it ends in e. So if first rule in regular verbs, how can we make regular verbs in past? There are certain rules. If it is a regular verb and it ends in e, we simply add d after that to make it in past, like arrive, arrived, live, lived, dance, danced. Now there are some other spelling rules. If a regular verb ends in consonant plus y, change y to I and add ed. Since this is a regular verb, so most of the regular verbs are past and past, they are formed adding ed. But if it is a regular verb and it ends in y, so when you want to change it into past, what you'll do, first you will remove this y and in place of Y, you'll use I, and then you'll add ed. Okay, so if a regular verb ends in consonant, now see this regular verb, it ends in a consonant. Okay, it is Y. Y is a consonant, so if it ends in a consonant, change Y to I, change Y to I, and then add ed. So carry and then carrot. Study again ends in Y. So you've removed this Y and then you have placed I and then you have added ed. So carry, carrot, study, studied, fry, fried, try, tried. This is a second spelling rule for the regular verbs. Now, if a one-syllable regular verb ends in consonant plus vowel plus consonant, so the third rule is for regular verbs, the third rule is that if it is a one-syllable verb, like this, stop, like plan, like rope, like bag. So one-syllable word is a word which we can say in a one go, and it has at least one vowel sound in it. So stop, plan, robe, and bag. If you see these few verbs, they've got a consonant plus vowel plus consonant. So consonant T plus vowel O, and then again consonant P. Here also consonant, vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant, consonant, vowel, consonant. So the rule is, if you have a one-syllable regular verb and it ends in consonant plus vowel plus consonant, what you'll do, you'll double the final consonant. Now see, consonant, vowel, consonant, stop. So if you want to make it past, so before adding ed, you will double this last consonant sound. So stop is stopped. The last consonant sound is per. So we have doubled this per sound here. Stop, plan. We have doubled this and n sound here and here. Planned, robbed. We have doubled this final consonant. Robbed, bag. Again, this consonant. We have doubled this consonant in order to make past tense. Now, the other rule is that if you have got a regular verb, if a regular verb has more than one syllables and ends, see here the rule was about the verb, the regular verb which has only one syllable, and it has this combination at the end, consonant plus vowel plus consonant. In this case, what we have done, we have doubled the final consonant sound. But if a regular verb has more than one syllables and ends in consonant plus vowel plus consonant, okay, we double the final consonant only if the final syllable is stressed. Now, this rule says that if you have a regular verb which has more than one syllables, now see, stop has one syllable, but if you see here, prefer, two syllables, regret, two syllables. So if the regular verb has two syllables and it has the same combination, that it ends with a consonant plus vowel plus consonant sound. So if it has only one syllable, we'll double the final consonant. But if the same combination is in a verb which has more than one syllables, so what we'll do, we double the final consonant only if the final syllable is stressed. Now see here, if the verb is prefer, now there are two syllables in the verb prefer, pre and fer, okay, and where do we have the stress? Stress is not on per sound. We can either have stress on first syllable or the second syllable, okay. So if we have stress on the first syllable, we can pronounce it like prefer. If we have the stress on second syllable, then we can pronounce it like prefer. So the correct pronunciation is not prefer, it's prefer. That means the stress is on the second syllable. So the rule says that if you have got same combination, consonant plus vowel plus consonant, but it has more than one syllables, then you will double this last consonant sound, like in the previous example. Okay, so prefer, preferred, regret, regretted. Okay, but if you have got the same regular verb which has more than one syllables, and so if you have got regular verb which has more than one syllables, but it the stress is not on the second syllable, the stress is on the first syllable, then we don't double the last sound. Okay, the last consonant. The example could be like listen. Okay, L-I-S-T-E-N. Okay, so T-E-N. Okay, so it's consonant plus vowel sound plus consonant sound. But unlike prefer, where we have the stress on the second syllable, in listen we have the stress on first syllable. Listen, L-I-S-T-E-N. So in this case, if the stress is on the first syllable, you'll not double the final consonant sound. So if you have the verb listen, L-I-S-T-E-N, you will simply write L-I-S-T-E-N and you'll simply add ed after this. You'll not double the last consonant sound, which in this case, which is listen, L-I-S-T-E-N. So we cannot have L-I-S-T-E-N and ed for past tense. Okay, so the rule is, if you've got a regular verb which has more than one syllables, if we have got this same combination, consonant plus vowel plus consonant, the rule is, if the stress is on the second syllable, then double the last consonant sound. If the stress is not on the second syllable, if it is on the first syllable, like in the verb listen. So in the verb listen, we don't have stress on second syllable, we have stress on the first syllable. So in this case, we'll not double the last consonant sound. Now keep in mind that we have got one exception here in British English. Verbs ending in L have double L before ed, whether the final syllable is stressed or not. So if your verb has more than one syllables, and if it ends in L, okay, if the last sound is a consonant, like see, the same combination, consonant plus vowel plus consonant. So if the last sound is L, if last consonant is L, then you have to double this last consonant sound, whether the stress is on first syllable or second syllable. Now, if you see, the verb is travel. So the stress is not on the second syllable, the stress is on the first syllable, travel. Even then we have doubled the last consonant sound, this last sound. This is one of the exceptions, only when we have this L sound at the L consonant at the end of the verb. So these were some of the rules for regular verbs. Now let's talk about irregular verbs. Now there are also some verbs called irregular verbs. Now irregular verbs are verbs which do not have, for which we cannot add ed to make it past or past participle form, like play, played, played, wash, washed, washed. These are regular verbs. But when you say go, it is go, went, gone, write, wrote, written. So in these verbs, we cannot simply add ed to make them past or past simple verbs. So these are called irregular verbs. Like, see, we went to school yesterday. So instead of go, we cannot say that we goed to school yesterday, because this is an irregular verb. So you need to know what are irregular verbs. You cannot add ed after these irregular verbs in order to make them past or past participle. So you need to learn what could be the past form and what could be the past participle form. You can have a list of these irregular verbs, and then you should know that with these verbs you cannot add ed. So we went to school yesterday. The children read that story last year. So in this case the verb is read, but past and past participle form is the same when you are writing it in spelling, but when you pronounce it, it is read in present, read in past, and read in past participle. So I've read a story. So they read that story last year. Tamar wrote the letter to her friend on Sunday. The students forgot to do the homework. These are some of the examples of irregular verbs. So when you have irregular verbs, so you need to know what should be the past and past participle form. There are no rules. So when you want to make negative form with regular and irregular verbs, negative in the simple past are found by adding didn't, informal, or did not formal before the simple form of the verb. So subject and then did not, then first form of verb, and then rest of the sentence. So subject, the girl did not, verb first form come, and the rest of the sentence, to school yesterday. The girl didn't come to school yesterday. Please note that when you're using negative form, you'll not be using past form of the verb. When you're using did not, so the second form of the verb is going to be changed into first form of the verb. The girl didn't come to school yesterday. The parents didn't work on Sunday. The baby didn't drink milk in the morning. So if the positive sentence is the girl came to school yesterday, the negative would be the girl didn't come to school yesterday. So when you have using didn't, so your verb would be changed into first form again. So how are you going to make the questions? Again, you've got these two types of questions: yes, no questions or indicative questions, and then WH questions. When you are going to have yes, no questions, you'll put this this did in the beginning of the sentence. So this is how you'll make yes, no question. You'll be using did plus subject plus first form of verb, and then rest of the sentence, and then the question mark. When you're writing a question, please do not forget to put the question mark at the end of the sentence. Again, see, verb first form. That means in past simple, we use past forms only in affirmative or positive sentences. And negative and questions will change the past verb into present verb, or second form of verb into first form of verb. So did Noah see his grandparents yesterday? So see, we have used did, so this saw in past tense is changed into see. Did Noah see his grandparents yesterday? And then if you're going to have WH questions, again, there could be two categories: non-subject questions and subject questions. Keep in mind that subject questions are made with who and what, and all other WH words we have in non-subject questions. So WH word, then did, then subject, then first form of verb, and then rest of the sentence. So remember, in my previous lecture, I also told you that if you've got your helping verb, if you put this helping verb in the beginning of the sentence, it becomes indicative question or yes, no questions. And if you want to make interrogative question, put this interrogative pronoun at the beginning before this helping verb. So WH word, then did, then subject, then first form of verb, and then rest of the sentence. Like where, WH word where, did, subject you, first form of verb spent your holidays. Where did you spend your holidays? Now, this is very important to understand that when you are having negative or questions in past simple tense, please do not use a second form of verb. Most of the students make this mistake that when they make past simple tense, even with did, and did not, they use second form of the verb. So please do not never say I did not went to bazaar, or did I went to bazaar. Okay, so I did not go to bazaar, did I go to bazaar. So in negative and questions we use first form of verb, but we'll use second form of verb in questions only if it is interrogative questions and it starts with who or what. These are two exceptions. When you start a sentence with who or what, then you'll use second form of verb and then rest of the sentence, like who wrote this beautiful poem. Since we do not have did or did not here, so in absence of did, we have used second form of verb. So when you have did or did not, you'll be using first form of verb. When you don't have this did or did not, and you're saying something in past simple, you'll be using second form of verb, and it is only when you're using these two WH questions like who and what. Who wrote this beautiful poem? What was there in your mind? Okay. Let's have some exercises. The exercises are already solved. Transform the sentences into past simple tenses. Like she is at the park now. So if she is at the park now, if you want to change it into past simple tense, this is would be changed into was. She is at the park now. She was at the park yesterday. This is positive sentence. If you want to make it negative, she was at the park yesterday. She wasn't at the park yesterday. Was she at the park yesterday? Likewise, she goes to the hospital to visit her friend. If you want to change it, this is present simple tense. If you want to change it into past simple tense, you'll say, she went to the hospital to visit her friend last week. Positive sentence. Negative, she didn't go to the hospital to visit her friends last week. And if you want to change into question, indicative question, did she go to the hospital to visit her friend last week? Fill in the blanks with the correct form of verbs. Minnie baked a huge cake for Mickey's birthday party. So it's past simple, so this bake is first form of verb. So we change into past. Minnie baked a huge cake. John broke a window while he was playing football. Did you ask a question during the lesson? They didn't have a picnic at the weekend. Were they at the party last night? Let's have some more examples. My mother made a sandwich for me. Again, it is in past simple tense. He was ill, so he didn't go to school yesterday. We have both positive and negative sentence. He was ill, positive, so he didn't go, negative. He bought an expensive car last year. Did she clean the house at the weekend? Students didn't listen to the teacher. So that's the end of past simple tense. I'm sure you must have understood. So in my today's lecture, I've told you something about past simple tense and how they are used. In my next video, I'll be talking about another tense. So till then, thank you very much. See you.